Hi, welcome back to Bunny's Designs. I wanted to play in my Hobonichi, homemade Hobonichi. This particular one I made quite a long time ago, and I just used it for kind of doodles. And I think this is going to be quite useful in the next few weeks. So I have made this small Hobonichi. And I will be setting this up as not as a planner, but as a kind of journal for the next few weeks, but being creative. So I've been playing about with different settings, different layouts, and using stencils for my lettering, and I found some very small stencils here. So these are the ones that I bought in the box that I opened a couple of videos ago. So I've washed them all in hot soapy water. Some of them are really, really tiny, but some of them are a little bit bigger, so you could use a normal pen. So I decided that I was going to kind of bob those there. Now this little working tray, as I call it, it's a bit scratchy underneath, but what I've got is I've got the rulers and the stencils that I want to be using. I've got a little bit bigger stencil here, and then I've got my huge stencil for my months. And these were the girls, the children's, but being nearly 20 and 22, they're not using them anymore, so they gave them back. So I've got a ruler, some pencils, Derwent water brushes, some italic pens. I bought these markers in the Derwent set of one was a bullet journal and the other one was a sketching journal, and you've got certain of these pens with that set. So I've taken them out of there, and I'm going to be using these colors because I kind of like there's a gray, a black, and a sepia color, and I kind of like those. So there's lots of different sizes, so I'm going to be having a real good play about with that. And the way I've done this is it takes a long time. Now, normally when you do a Hobonichi or a bullet journal or a bit of journaling, scrap journaling, junk journaling, it's kind of going to take you a little bit of time. The way I'm doing this is it was going to take me hours to do a particular page because I do like some of these little stencils and they take quite a while. But the reason is I want to take up time, because the one thing we're going to have a lot of over the next few weeks is time. So the idea of this book is it's going to be filled with all positive artistic creations. So there's nothing negative going to in here. I might do a weight chart. I'm not going to do a food diary because I'm going to do that in my, and I bobbed it somewhere. My husband found my Midori, and I think that's going to be my bedtime reading, bedtime notes, to-do list for tomorrow, ideas for streaming, that kind of thing. This is going to be just creative. So I'm going to set it out in the Hobonichi way, which is the Japanese. I think it's Japanese. They kind of do a page, and I failed really badly at this. And they have the dates, they have the weather system, and they have what they did, and they draw where they went. And it didn't work. I did a page, I think. I attempted 2 pages. That was it. So it obviously isn't my thing because it does take a fair bit of time. But of course, that's what we've got a lot of. So I thought just for a couple of days, I'm going to start this tomorrow. I'm starting it on April the 1st, and I will be setting out in year, month, week, and days. I may put the days with each month because I kind of like the fact that I'll have a monthly page and then I'll have the weeks that go with that month, and then I'll have the days that go with that week. And then the next one, I'll have the next month, and then I'll have the next week, week, and then I'll have the next 7 days with that week. And then I'll have week 2 and the next 7 days of that week 3 of the month, those. And so what will happen is I'm working through. I'm not going back. I'm always working through. The yearly one will just be maybe streams of things. There might be extra pages if I have a particular day where I want to be a bit more creative. But I'd like to try and stick to the Hobonichi layout, but I will be doing a little bit of the bullet journal because I do love that. Oh, hi, Katrina. Welcome to Bunny Designs. Fine, thank you. Hope everybody's well. I had a stream earlier. In fact, I might just have to delete that because it was a boo-boo. I have been trying for 2 hours to get on here. So just bear with me 2 seconds. I must just delete these videos because they're kind of so this was I've tried 3 times to get on this morning. So let's see if I can delete it. My camera decided and I'll just delete that one. As I say, homemade Venetian, I'm sure that's today. Sorry guys, I just have to get rid of these because they were my camera was doing all sorts of weirdy things. I hope it sounds a bit better. I've gone back to my headset. So I hope I don't feel like I've got cold. It's just the videos have been a bit skew whiff, so hopefully the sound's good. Tomorrow I will be doing a couple of videos on that. But what I wanted to do is not have everybody going out buying expensive colour books. And yes, we all love the colour books. But the other thing is we've got to stop buying things at the moment so that the people that are at the other end of the online services are not having to be at work. So that's quite important to me. So I've been having a bit of a play, and the paper I've been using is just ordinary a refill pad. So I've been kind of folding the pages and having a play, and kind of finding out what I like, because I made a mess of the first page and then I didn't go back to the book. So I want to be able to play about with this, find out what I like, find out what I don't like, and then when I start, I'm not going to make a pig's ear of it and think, oh, I don't like that now, I'm not going to do it anymore. And I think that's what's important. So there's a bit of a plan of a monthly layout, but I don't think I'm going to do this one. I think I'm going to do my bullet journal one because I do like my bullet journals. That's another way. That's a daily one. A weekly one with the hours in it. So again, I haven't quite decided what's going to happen, but I just want to get it right because I say Hobonichi has quite a specific layout. I haven't got a lot of stencils, and I've been looking to buy something. I thought, no, I'm going to use the ones I've got. So one of them is a children's one, which That's tickling my arm and it's driving me nuts. I have not a phobia, but when my children were little, I couldn't stand. Now, for some reason, it's not handy. I don't know why, because I've been using it. May have put it in here. When I bought the stencils here, there were these circular ones, and I didn't have any circular ones. So I think these are going to they're going to play a big part. And although there's lots of squares in the Hobonichi, I'm actually thinking I might just change them to these shapes, because I was drawing around and again playing about. This is how to do it. Play with things you like, and some of the letters, actually, the names, they fit within this stencil. Now I may have to warm this and flatten it. It's obviously I'm just wondering if the circles would do it. I just think that it's a shame I've got these lovely stencils. So instead of having, if I look at that one, oops, that actually fits. Instead of having a square, I might have a round. But I'll have a play, and again, obviously you can do each one individually, and you can make lots of shapes with these. And the idea is to make patterns. So I might just use those. Or if you haven't got any stencils, the other thing to do is just use squares. Gosh, sorry, I've got things annoying me. If you don't want to do your own doodles, we can do squares. So she can't find any now. Just can't find any. I did use the lines on that one to do lines. This is another stencil. Now, I did this one, and I thought that'd be quite nice too. I'm going to have to take that off because it's going to annoy me. To colour, and again, I was playing with different stencils, different sizes, to see what I could do. So I've sorted out the colours. I think I will probably do the normal Hobonichi and then perhaps do something like this with colour on it, and which will be obviously in the day. So the day would be a normal day, and then I'd have a play with some colours. And again, this is something that's going to take quite a bit of time, because obviously that's what we've got. So it took me a couple of days to make the book, but I wanted to show that you can just fold the pages. So here I've made a thin one, and I've only just folded them, but I've made a nice crease with a bone folder, or you can use the rounded edge of a raised pen. You can use the back of the scissors, a ruler, anything with a hard, sharp edge. And we want a lovely crisp signature. And the signatures, I think I put 5 in here. Let me have a look. So we've got 1. We've got to remember not to lick our fingers. So I did have a baby wipe that I put extra water on. Must remember not to lick our fingers, guys. I've done it twice by accident. So wet your fingers, and then we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 5 pieces of the paper. Now we could use photocopy paper. I'll just go get some photocopy paper, because that means we can use anything that's cheap and cheerful. So we can use printer papers, normally quite cheap. And the best thing is the cheapest one, if I can find a cheapy one. The cheapy one is the thinnest. And of course, I've bought out my most expensive. It doesn't really matter. So if you go to the supermarket, you can have an 80 DSM, which is quite cheap. So you get the printer paper for a couple of pounds for a pack of printer paper. This one is a bit thicker. This is just that little bit thicker, and it happened to come out. So let me have a look at this one. Oh, I found some layout paper. Oh, so this thin layout paper is the nearest thing and the cheapest thing to get to Japanese paper. So this, my daughter just moved the printer out. I'm trying to see if I've got, yes. No, you can tell the difference between the printer paper. And instead of it being kind of like $1.99, it's $3.99. So again, what I do with that is, let me just see if I can get the light back onto there, is we fold it, and these aren't the nicest of pages when you open a new one. My hands don't work brilliantly. So you do it once with your thumb, and you could use a bone folder. But if you haven't got a bone folder, you've got any kind of ruler, you can still get that beautiful crisp edge. And that's what we want. So what I could do here, and I know that looks a bit creased, but that's fine. I like the dog-eared look. So now I've got a plain piece, I've got a patterned piece, and I can put another one here. And I use it from that side because it's a little bit lighter. So you can find premium printer paper, which is $120 or $95, whereas ordinary printer paper, you see this, as long as it's sharp, the back of some scissors or something, that would work. You do need a really crisp edge though. So that one can go there, and then we'll put that one in there, and you get some really nice fat signatures. So if I do, and you really have to do them one at a time, because if you do a lot more, the outer page has to go around the inner page, and it's not going to be exactly in the middle. So I do have a bone folder there, and then I have my little one, which I hated when I first got it, but actually it's really perfect for this because I can put my hand on that one. The other one I have to hold differently. So this is quite nice. You've got poly hands because it's just easier to hold. And what we can do then is count again. So remember, I might just put that on top. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now the nicest thing about this is that when you get to the middle of your signature, you've got a double page spread, and I kind of like that because I could really go to town. So I'm putting plain, squared, plain, squared, plain, squared. So that's given me 5 signatures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm actually going for 6. So I've got 6, and as you see, I've got all those holes at the top, so I'm going to put them at the bottom, because when they're at the bottom, it's very rare we draw at the bottom, and you can put washi tape right at the bottom as well, so that's okay, that's quite good. So we've got a 6 signature there. I'm going to turn these the other way up, and then they're all naturally that way. And this was the cover. This was the cover of the back of this foolscap refill for your folders. your binders. So I do need to keep those at the bottom because I'm a bit of a ditherer when it comes to that, and I'm always making mistakes. So again, another piece of printer paper. Now you can't get this particular little tray again, but you can Umbro do one for modelers. So if you type in Umbro, but it's spelt with an H, they do one, and they have that little holes for the little tiny pots of paint. I've got two there. We'll see if we can do two. So push it down like that, hold it. See, I don't hold things very well, so they tend to move on me. Once with the thumb, and then go over it with something. You want a real crisp edge. And this feels very thick, this, because it's not ordinary printer paper, but I just happened to pick this up. The beauty of this is when you're watercolouring, it is actually slightly better. So if you go around Tesco's, they're normally twice the price as ordinary printer. So printer paper can be 99p to 1.99. This paper will be, I think, 3.99. I think I paid 3.99 for mine. So it's double the price of printer paper, but it's a lot thicker. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. That's what's wrong. I need that one in there. So that's given me stripey at one end, and that's at the other. So you can get away probably with 2 at a time, but no more. But again, it's quite monotonous, but it's quite time consuming, and it is quite doing something quite mundane like this, although you're kind of concentrating a little bit. It's passing the time. So as I say, put the radio on. I kind of listen to Radio Extra, where there's no news and no music. It's just plays all day. So you get old Dad's Armies, you get some 50s stuff, which is actually quite funny, even though it's before my time. You get the Goons, you get the Monty Python, all sorts of wonderful plays, and then you get some modern plays as well. So it's quite a nice thing if you're in the UK to listen to Radio Extra. So Radio 4 Extra, because Radio 4 has the news every hour. Radio 4 Extra has no news. And I never listen to the news, and I never buy a newspaper, and I haven't done for probably 20 years. I do like to get the Yorkshire Post occasionally. When we went on the trains, I picked up some Yorkshire Posts and some Times, because I used to like doing the crosswords. And if you don't use it, you lose it, because I haven't done a Times crossword since I worked in the Pullman Lounge in Leeds, and I didn't even understand half the questions. Never mind what they meant. So if you once you start doing something, you've got to keep doing it, because you forget. So again, we've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I've got another signature there. So we've done 3, and it's getting quite chunky now. So it doesn't take long to get that quite chunky. So I might just make this book, because when I was on the Hobonichi site, they do thinner Hobonichis that sit in the gorgeous cases, but they're between 50 and 120 pounds. So I will be getting this. Well, I will be getting my sewing machine out and making one. I've taken a photocopy of pockets and things. And where I've put pockets in this one, that way, I should be putting pockets that way. And if you don't want your rattle, the reason I put those on, they've never bothered me before because I've always used this when I went out in the car or in the wheelchair. I'm just sat sketching, so it doesn't dangle on anything. Although I did used to take this with me. If you get a large supermarket bag, this fits in it, but you must have underneath it, the same with the Umbro one, you must have a cushion tray underneath or a cushion, because where these ridges go down, they're quite sharp, so they dig into your knee. And of course, you're pressing down. So and it's low. So if you have a cushion or a cushion tray and you put this on top, your posture's better for when you want to draw. So I've got to keep an eye on that. So we've got one of those, and that one. And I think we've got another signature. So it really, again, we've got so much time. So why not make all these books, learn a new skill, Copic stitching. It's very simple. And we can then do colours and patterns either with a stencil, and we can pretend we've got a very expensive Hobonichi. And there's something nice about working in a book you've made yourself. Now, if you've got a sketchbook or a watercolour, you can do the same thing, and then you've got a watercolour book. And we're going to do very easy patterns, so we don't have to be artistic. It's just to save people going out and having to buy a colour book. So apologies if anybody's wanting to use the colour books, but I thought this was important. So once I've started my Hobonichi, I will be going back to the colouring, but I wanted everybody that wants to do this, and somebody that just has a printer paper or supermarkets, there probably isn't a rush on these. I presume you could wipe your backside with it. So we better not say that too loud, because then there'll be a shortage of printer paper. I said to everybody, I found one for £5 for one toilet paper, and it said a genuine Asda toilet paper. And I was so cross. I thought, I've got to report this. I hadn't realised if you do that on Facebook, it blocks them out. And then I found another one, and it said, last toilet roll in Taunton, £600. So I booked that one as well. So I thought, no, we're not having this. Not having this. So if you see anybody selling anything, if you report them, it blocks it and they can't sell them, because I think they should be prosecuted. We still haven't bought any new toilet rolls. I think we're down to one. I've ordered some. If I get my order on Friday, Friday will be a bigger shop than I've done since everything started. Hubby's been out for one or two little bits, but I think he's seen toilet rolls, but he's not bought any. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So on that one in the middle, because I think the stitches will be in the middle, but we've got a full center page. So that's my rant for the day, guys. So don't try to sell me any toilet paper, because you'll get locked out of Facebook. I have got 2. This feels like you've got about 6 pieces of. You can hear the crease on that. It feels that you've got so much more, and I think I've only got 2. So it's not quite twice as thick as printer paper, but it is a bit thicker. But you can make this quite easily. Yeah, there's only 2 there. Quite easily with printer paper. Let's just see if I've got some handy. Gonna be an avalanche, guys. Brace yourself for some noise. So this is the printer paper, and then this one is the bit thicker one that I've got. Both from Tesco's. Well, it's just called Premium. I don't think it is Tesco's own. I think it's Premium. So it's just a little bit thicker, but not much. In fact, looking at it, they're almost identical. It's just happened that's the pile I happened to pick up. The only difference is if you print your colour pages off, and the reason I bought it was because I had quite a few of Bennett Klein's colour books to print off. And you know me and my watercolouring, so I thought I'll just see if it's any better. And it is. But it doesn't bother me too much. I think I've got another one there. So I might go for 10 and see how we get on. Again, you can reinforce that crisp, beautiful, crisp signature. And then we'll count them again and say, don't wet fingers, have a wet baby white 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So just look at how quickly your book starts to grow. So we've got 2, 4, we've got 6. I think I'll do 10. This is very slightly bigger and very slightly darker. So this is blue and that's black, but I think the squares hopefully are the same. Now these squares are 5mm, I think, whereas Hobonichi are 4mm. So when I'm doing my counting squares here, I've got to change it from the Hobonichi because this is a bit bigger. But actually, I prefer that. So let me see if I can find a. So we've got, yeah, this is 5mm. So Hobonichi, their squares are 4mm, but the Hobonichi, they're about 30, 40, 50 pounds. This is about £1.99 for a full pack. So you can do quite a lot of pages for that. And again, you can use it in conjunction with printer paper or layout paper. Now, layout paper is a lot thinner, so it does give you a slightly Hobonichi feel. It will take a very light watercolor wash, and it will take a permanent ink pen. It'll show through, but it won't go through. So you can either sit while you're watching TV and make all your pages, fold all your pages, or you can make them as you go along. It's entirely up to you. I did sit. I'm upstairs on my own, so I watched a couple of movies on Saturday. And I watched the Tinkerbell. I watched the child's one, and I love the colours, so I'm inspired with all the colours that I saw. So don't ever think that you've got to watch adult films. One of my favourite is McClintock as well. That's one of my favourite ones. And what else have I been watching? I'm recording Dr. Dolittle, the original, which is on now. I think it's on now. On the UK. I've got quite a few things that I've recorded and not watched, and I'm sure I'm not alone with that one. See, these pages are a bit battered and creased, but I kind of like that. You know, I'm not going to be precious with this book, but I don't want to mess it up. There's a difference between using it and kind of keeping it nice. I'm obviously going to make some boo-boos. Again, I might not use that one because I've got quite a few of these out here. So you can just feel that it is called premium quality printer paper. And if you have if you buy online the Bennett Klein's, you can print this off, and it takes just that bit more wetness for watercoloring. Whereas when you buy the Bennett Klein, you normally print it off on ordinary watercolor paper. That's why I did. There is a mark on that, but we'll see. You can always put washi tape on it or something else. Just have a think. I've obviously printed something on that. I use that just for a practice page. If you do mark any pages, keep them and use them for your color practice. You know, if you're coloring something, stick a piece of photocopy paper in, and then just before you do put it on your page, just double check that you like it. So I don't want to make too many. So let's see where we're going with this one. So you've got 2. Again, don't forget, don't lick your fingers. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oops. Don't forget to keep all the ring binder holes at the bottom, because they say you can use. Come on, why have I done this? No, what's happening with this one? Try again, and we'll use the folded ones this time. So don't forget, holes at the bottom. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that little book is going to become quite chunky now. So we've got 2, 4, 6. We've got 7. So I'm going to do 3 more, and that's it, because I don't want to be too chunky, because I've got 2 chunky books. And this Hobonichi one is kind of for an everyday diary as well. So okay, that means that you can keep the big Hobonichi for the drawings and the artistic side, and then you can use the other one. So when I finish this, I probably will actually, might as well stitch it. I'll start stitching it. I probably won't finish, but I will start stitching, and then we'll make some patterns and color them in, because I want to show how, you know, even if you think you haven't got enough to buy a color book, you can make a book that you can be creative in, and that's important. I mean, the other thing you could do is go buy a sketchbook from Tesco's, but there's something quite nice about making something, especially something that looks like a Hobonichi, but isn't. So I think I wanted 3 more, didn't I? So now these squares are blue, but it's not going to bother me, because you probably won't notice. I don't think we'll notice. Now I've got 2 here. Again, the crisper you are with these beautiful edges, the finer your sewing will be at the end. So as you can see, the one at the back there that I've got left has got a grey square. This is the one that it's slightly better quality paper, very slightly better quality, and it was a bit more expensive than the £2 one, but it's not going to bother me that much. So I've got one of those. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to just I must have more than 2 because it's not, you can tell how many you've got because of the edge. Now, a lot of people actually like rough edges, so they don't cut them. So mine are really rough. Oh dear, I had 3, so put that one in there. And again, you can, mine took me most of the afternoon to do because this is the time to do this. It takes time, this, but you can see it in real time, but it takes time. But we've got a lot of time. So, we're making something out for a few pounds. 4, 5, 6. And again, if you want to kind of make sure you've got a really crisp edge. And you can see that last one I did again. This one, I've only done it once. So what a difference it makes when you do that again. And if I can do it with my hands, anybody can do it. They were aching a little bit this morning, but considering the fact that I did all that stitching, and now look at the difference, really crisp. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. I've got one more. So because I'm going to have 4 of those that are blue. I'm going to alternate them. That's the right word. So I'm going to put a blue one inside all the others. So we've got so you can make it all printer paper. The beauty of this, and I think we might be able to see through it as well. We can still see the squares through. So you can still use the plain paper to do some colouring if you wanted, rather than just leave it kind of blank. These are a little bit creased, so I'm going to keep those for, I shall keep those for spare. And then this one. As soon as I'm going to make this one, I shall have to look up the name of this smaller, I think it's cousin. I think it's a Hobonichi cousin that's the thin one, but I'm not sure. One's A5. They do one like a Midori size as well. That's a photocopy of my sketch. It's a photocopy of my sketch that I did quite a while ago. With the same pen, with these rotoring pens, they are very good for detail. And I probably will be using it for most of the work in the books as well, because they're just so nice to use. And it's permanent Indian ink, and it's refillable. So as a tight Yorkshire lass, I kind of like that. So we've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I've got 10, and I've done some extra ones there, but never mind. So we put that one inside that one. I can actually do another one because I've got another one, so I may as well do another one. I folded them up. No, I won't, because it's going to get too chunky. The other thing, because I can use these to under that one. So I've got 2 pieces of card here. Now you can cover them. I think I might cover this one. So this was going to be just a thin book, but it's so this probably is a little bit thicker than the Hobonichi, the middle one. What I might do is just get some coloured paper. I've got lots and lots of patterned paper that I've never used. So I could cover this ugly paper. Sorry, ugly card, because the card is going to really make that strong. And so what you do is you want it that way. So we've got that one, and then we've got that one, checking that all the bottoms are at the bottom. And then we've got that one, 2, 2, and then I'll put 2 at that side, so it's quite even there. And all the bottom, all the ones with holes in, they're all at the bottom. So we start with this one, and then we sew through this one, and then we add this signature, and we sew that way, and then we add this signature, and we sew that way, and then we add this signature, and we sew that way. So I'll show you how you do that. Now, the other thing you could do, and actually I can do it with this one. I couldn't do it with the other one. Do you know, I think I'm going to make another one. Then it's going to be equal. Don't know why I need to be equal, but I do. So we've got 2. 3. 4. 5. And did have one more piece of plain, didn't I? 5 and 6. So again, don't lick your fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, I'm sure that my Hobonichi won't go in that one, but it might do. So we've got got 2 at each side. And then if we remember to keep the cardboard inwards, we can do 2 things. We can cover it now, which is probably the easiest thing, and then it will look quite quite pretty, but I think I'm going to put mine into a cover anyway. But sometimes it's nice to see the stitching. So what we should end up with is this. So you start with one end and you go across, up and down. Now I've pulled the cardboard off this one to put on my other one. This was a sketchbook, so it's slightly different size. So you see it's like a plait. It's like a stitch. A stitch. When you're knitting, it's not the stocking stitch, it's the other one. The knit and purl. So it's the knit. So it looks like a knit all the way down, but sometimes I went the wrong way. So what you're supposed to do is get a ruler. If that you normally have to do. Now mine went wonky because I couldn't get anything to hold this together neatly. So I should have used maybe a clamp. So what you need to do is to get you need to get these dead straight and dead flat, because what you're going to do is you're going to draw across the top, and where there's a point you stick your pin in. Now I haven't got an awl, I haven't got anything to stick a hole in it, so I used the needle, and I didn't actually, some of them didn't have a hole in it, so that's the thread that was wrapped round. So very quickly I could show you that if you didn't want to do that, you obviously couldn't attach this unless you made a spine for it. So you get your piece of thread and you start at the top and you find the center and you wrap it round. And then you turn one over. And then you wrap that one round. So when you tie this, eventually they're all, oopsie. That one goes that way. So when you tighten it up, they're all joined together, but it's just a wraparound. So the advantage of this is if you make a boo-boo, you can slide it out. It will be quite tight, but you can still take a page out. The way I'm going to do it is I'm going to do probably stitch, and then you can, oops, I'm going to stitch mine. So I think I'm going to cover that, but I've got some tie-back. What I might do is cover the cardboard and then with some nice paper, and then cover the actual cardboard and then attach it. That way what you'll do is if you have your tie-back and then you cover all this with paper, and then you can put the spine there, you stick the first page to a book and you stick that to there, and then you've attached the book to the cover, and you do the same at the back. I'm not sure if I want to do that. I know they're quite ugly, these cardboards, but what they do is they make it possible for you to slip them. So this one has got nasty cardboard, but it's allowed it to slip into here and be a book. So I think I might do that. I will set this off. I don't think I'm going to stitch all of it because it's quite boring, but I'll show you how you start. So again, you've got to get everything right Everything's got to be completely right, all straight. And then I'm going to put that in the middle because that's the bit I'm not going to do. Now I could use just measure what we've got. So we've got so if I lean that there, that's on 4 1/4, and that's on 4 1/4. It's 4 1/4. That's 4 1/4. So that's the middle. So that's 4 1/4. That's 4 1/4. So that's the middle. And you normally come in 1 inch. So I'm going to put one there. And I'm going to put one there. And put one there. And one there. So that's given me so hold this steady, and you probably want a smaller ruler than that. That's a bit too big. So I'm just going to use one of these. And then you want to go across as dead straight as you can. And this one. Because the straighter this is, the straighter the stitches are, even though probably you're not going to see them. But if you do make a nice job, you can leave them out. And you can see the stitches, and if they look nice, you can then put beads on the back. There's all sorts of things you can do. Right. Oh, hi, Darla. Hi, Rain. Hey, Rain Chains. Welcome to Bunny Designs. Hi, Katrina. So that's got my book. So that didn't take very long to do. And I didn't count the pages, did I? So I've got, did I say I got 6? I got 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've got 6 pages. So I've got 12 pages, but everyone's double-sided. So I've got 24. So I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So each signature has 24. And I've got 10 signatures. So I've got 240 pages in this little book, which is not bad for, took me about half an hour to squish it. Did it take me half an hour, I think? So the other thing you need to do now is be very careful, because we're going to sew it. I'll set you off. It doesn't take long. However, when you're watching a movie, you might slip a stitch. But I didn't even look up. I made mine about 6 or 7 years ago, before I went to uni. So, well, yes, because I'm 58 this year. So it's 8 years since I made mine. And I actually remembered how to do it. Now, my patterned ones are slightly smaller than my plain paper, but it's not going to bother me. If you can see that on that one, it's not going to bother me. I've just got to make sure that all the, oh, they're not, you see, I've made a boo-boo. Let's have a look. So that's at the bottom. That's at the bottom. That's at the bottom. Only because you can put washi tape. Now, if you want to put them at the top, you can make googly eyes and put them at the top. But I'm leaving all my holes at the bottom. And you can't even notice them, really. So if you put washi tape on, that's fine. So now what we have to do is put the book as we're going to sew it. So I may just have to move these to one side. So I don't need the clip now. So we have the book here, and we want to sew it like that. So I want that to be the bottom, and then that one will go there, and that nasty thing's at the bottom. So I will show. Am I going to do this? Am I going to attach this? Am I going to attach it? If you're going to attach it, you've got to do this. My cardboard is a bit smaller. So I've got marks where I'm going to be, so that's good. So we put that there. So let's get some thread. And the nicest thing about this is you don't need to panic about having a lot of thread. Don't think I've got any scissors handy. Should have. I did have a pair of pointed scissors, but I've got. I've got this. So we'll cut the thread there. And then we'll get everything else out of the way because we don't need it at the minute. So you've got one thread. So you need a fair big needle. Now you can make the holes first, but I'm not going to bother. Now, hang on a minute. How did I do it? I don't think you do it like that, do you? Wait a minute. You do. I think you go in that one. You go in that one. I can't remember how to do it now. I can't remember. I made it 2 days ago. So what I'm going to do is. Oh, I left a bit of thread. That's what I did. I left a bit of thread. So that's where the first one is, I think. Oh, I can't get through the cardboard. That's not going to be good, is it? There we go. So just in about 4 or 5 millimeters. You need to do this with an awl, really, an awl or a pokey stick, pokey tool, which I do believe is an official word, a pokey tool. But all my pokey tools are missing. So we're going to go in here, and I'm going to leave a bit of thread. I could either make it into a bookmark, so I'm going to leave that amount of thread, and then I'm going to get the first signature, and this is where really you could clamp them together if you wanted, but this is where I don't. So I've got it dead in the middle, and then I poke a hole in it like that, and then I pull it through, and if you can see there. And then I'm going to poke it out. Now, I've got a mark, so I've got my thumb here. And I kind of just guess. Oh, and I guessed wrong. And that goes in there. I'm going to pull that out a bit more because I want that as a bookmark. So I need a bit of tail to add a bead. And then I go in the hole that I thought I'd made. I can't find it. I go in the hole and I come out. So all you see is that loop there. This is a little bit different to when you get going, and then you go back in the loop, but you don't catch the thread. You don't want to split that thread that you've got in there already. So you've got to be a little bit careful, because that means that when you pull it, and I might just use a clip to hold that down out of the way. So I've got a neat loop there, and I've got the first stitch, and you pull it, but I'm not going to pull it too tight yet. Now, what I normally do is if you've poked your holes in first, so let's do that. Mind your fingers, poke one hole where your little black mark is, your pencil mark that you made, and you can use this as a step, and you're not going to prick your fingers. And what that does is magically it gives you your holes on the inside, so you're not guessing like I did. So poke that like this, and this is the only one you do this one with. Oopsie, again, because my hands don't work, I'm all over the place, guys, so I'm sure it's a lot easier than it looks. So now I've got my next nice stitch out and in, and then I want to go back in here. Try not to catch that thread. I did catch, you see, I've caught the thread, and you will find you get all knotted up. You get all knotted up with that silly thing that I've put there, because I don't have a, you need a big needle. So you come back in here. Now this is where you want to tighten it. So we've got that tight. Pull that way. If you pulled up, you'll put a hole in it. So you want to pull this way and then pull this way, and you'll see that one tighten and that one tighten. Not too much, but it wants to be a nice firm hole. And then we're going to go into this hole here. So again, you could do your pages and make the holes. So now I'm coming out and going in. This time I didn't catch it on there. And then I'm going to go back into this hole, but being very careful not to split the thread. If you split the thread, it will not tighten. And then we go back out there for the last time. Now, if your pages were smaller, you'd use 3. You want a middle and come in an inch. But I've come in 2, I've got 5. And then we're going to go back out. Now we're going to do something different this time. We're going to go back out. This is the last one. So we've got this all attached to the signature. Now, I'm not sure if I've got this right, but this is how I do it. Go round that once. Now, this is where we now need to tighten. See that tightened? And then this one tightened, I'll have to tighten it from the other side because I think I've gone through my thread. Yeah, I'll tighten it from this end. So now I've got quite a nice neat stitch. So now I now take my next one, and what I'm going to do first, because it is easier, is hold it dead straight. We know that everything's neat. You can put a little clip on it if you want. And then we want to go through there. Now, obviously, if your signatures are thicker, you'll need an awl. Just bear with me, guys, a second. My boss just rang me. Back to work tomorrow. 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Right. I'll leave it there for a second, guys. Just a second. So I've made my holes. So now check that that's the bottom, and that's the bottom. But now I'm at this end. So now I go in this one, and I can take that off now because it would drive you potty. So I go in this one, I go in out there, and this is the magic. So I go out that one, we line everything up. Oh, get rid of that. We line everything up, and I go this way. So the stitch, the whole stitch. Now, to show you how it actually works, we're going right back to this one, to the last signature, and we're trapping it on that stitch. So we're trapping it on that stitch, and then we pull it out. If you've got a curved needle, you can do it in one. So round, and then we go back in. Now the pages will go all over if you have hundreds of pages in your signature. I like 5 to 6, and then we want to go in here, but we don't want to catch the thread because we want to, and it takes a bit of getting used to, but when you pull, you see that's in. So now we go very to the middle one, the next one, come out, and then I'll show you how I do it. You're going in the back of that signature and back out. So you go past the last signature every time. But if you can't curve it round, take the signature and put it there and then pull it. And then we go, so I've gone round, so that makes that nice stitch. And then I go in there. Now, possibly you might do that a different way, but it's just the easiest way for me to do it. And then you wiggle through so that when you kind of pull it, you can pull that one tight and this one tight, not too much, and all your stitches are tight. Don't worry about the first one because it's not connected. So then we go into this one, which I think is there, guessing. No, it's not. Poke the hole through there. Is that where the stitch is? I don't know where the I've missed that little bit of poke the hole through there. So we're going to go through here, out again, and then through back from the last signature and through. And you don't want that one, you want that one. And then without trapping the thread, splitting the thread, you go back, tighten gently, and then go back. And then through that back loop. Now my back loop is loose because it's here. So now I've tightened it up. You can see it's tightened up now. I put a little bit of sticky tape on that to keep it out of the way. Keep that out of the way now. So that loop is a little bit loose. All the others are quite tight. You don't want it too tight. So we just want to tighten that one up and then tighten this one up. And then when we tighten that one, that's nice and tight. Not too tight. It doesn't want to be biting through the paper because we'll trash it. So we've gone through there. And now we don't go in there. What we do is we go in our next one. So again, sometimes it's a good idea to get all your signatures and poke all the holes in. Oh, thank you, Rain Chain. I didn't hope it wasn't too boring. But I thought we could make a book out of basically cheap material, but then be very creative in it. I mean, my mum had some oil paints, but she used to paint with Nancy who did the palette knife, and my aunt had a supermarket, and she used to paint on the back of the offer cardboard that used to get Heinz baked beans at 7.5p or probably 2.5p in those days, in the 70s when I was little, and she used to paint on the back of those. So we've come out of that one, we've gone round the back, and now we're going in here. I'm shaking because I'm hungry, guys, and not because I've not had much to eat this morning. Right, there we go. So then we're going to come out of here. And then we're not going to go on the last signature there. We're going to go on the next one. So you only go on the last signature, which is this one. So again, we're going round and out. Now, when I was doing this before, I managed to do it, but my hands are a bit bad today. The easiest way to do it is to use that and then poke it back through. And of course, I've lost the stitch now. Always have a big-eyed needle for two reasons. One is it makes a good hole, so you don't need an awl or a pokey tool. And the other reason is it's easy to thread because you probably will pull your thread out quite a lot. So we've got our first thread, and we can position that and pull it tighter. And then again, you can do this if you want, is to the last signature, back down, shut it. You can keep your finger in it if it's easier. And then we want the middle again. And it will wobble about quite a lot, but I'm trying to show you what I'm doing. So then you want to go back in here. And if the thread's at that side, it's easier to go that way. If the thread's coming that way, it's easier to go on that side. Because what you want to do is you don't want to catch that thread. Because if you split your thread, it won't tighten as easily. You can do it, but it's not as easy. So then we come across through the next hole, And if you were doing a huge one like this one, this is slightly different, but I can't find the other one. It's still missing. Is the scrapbook book is still missing. But I made this one, and you go in, round, the same with the signatures, the same way. This is with not wallpaper. It is wallpaper though. It's liner paper, brown paper, and there's some sketchbook paper in there as well. I will be using this book a lot more, and I left the tops because I left them to hang beads that I realise it drives you nuts. when you're working, this drives you potty. But it's a good idea at the time. So probably it's better to finish the sketchbook on the art book and then put the beads on the back. You can thread beads as you go. So if you didn't want to put anything on here, when you pull that out, you could thread a bead on it and then go back in, and you'd have beads across. I might actually make one of those because I didn't realise I'd be able to make books. I thought my hands were too bad, but it's holding okay on its own. So we go back in there, and then we take the last signature that we've just used, and we go through that loop. So that's the one that's connected that to this one, and you want to go back through there. So you've looped it, because if you didn't do that and you pushed it straight back, it would just come out the hole. It wouldn't be catching on anything, so you wouldn't be attaching it. So you're basically creating a loop. So again, we open that up, and we've gone round, so we've attached it, and now we want to put that in and pull gently. And then we go in that one, and then you work to the end, and then you come back the other way. So again, in there. Now I did manage last time to do that, but I don't know why. You see, look, I can see the loop. I'm trapping it under the loop, the last one, not the first one, but the last one. So it's not attaching to this or the other signature. It's only attaching to the signature it's next to. Hope that makes sense. So push that through there and tighten that one. And then again, we've got that last one. So we go through there, and then we go through that last loop. So I'm not going through that first signature or the cardboard. I'm going through that one because it's next to it. And if you can see, oh, I keep pulling that. I've lost so many needles doing that. My hands don't work very well. I'm not going to do the whole book because it would be so boring. But if I tighten that up, you can see the stitches coming. So next time, I now go into my next signature. I'll show you the next bit purely because I'll pull that out actually. So we've got our signature. Hold it tight. I suggest you make all the holes first, then it's just a continuous thing. Otherwise, you're having to stop to do this. But if you did this first, you can use it on a sponge, as long as you make sure that your fingers are out of the way. You can use an awl. I've got this needle. It makes a fine hole, and I'm quite happy with that. If you can't manage to push it, you see there's a bit of a ridge. Put that just off the ridge and then push and push. So my hands don't work particularly well. And then we've now got our marks that we need. And there's no messing about and doing all sorts of measuring and yuck. It's just very, very simple. I like things to be simple. So I'll show you this next bit so we can get rid of that. So again, make sure that the bottoms match. That's why I did it like that. So you're picking one and pulling it across, picking one and pulling it across. That's how I did this big one here. Just pulled it across. Of course, it was quite high, was that? But I managed to get 1,200 pages on there. So that's not bad going. So I've got an extra fat Hobonichi. So I'm going in this one here when I get through. Dropped stitch again. What I want to show you is you don't need all your thread, because when you're pulling it, it gets knotted, as any sewer will tell you. The least you've got, the better. So what I'm going to show you now is I'm going to put that one through here. Come on, bend. Oops, a bit out with my, that's better. So I've got this one here now, whoopsie. So I'm going to go in this one. Now this is where it gets a bit fiddly, but you don't have to do it too many times. Pull that one out. Now, what you can do is you can see now, you can kind of push it so it's at an angle, and then you can go back after that last stitch, and then you pull it up, open it, and push it back through. Again, this side this time, because the stitch is on that side. You're working left to right now. Now, the other needle I had a very stiff, very wide back. This one's a bit pointy, so it hurts. Right. So again, pull that forward. Now, if we go through to this one, I'll do this one. I wasn't going to do this one, but I will do this one. And this is why it gets a little bit fiddly. So I'm going to go down that one. Pull that up. And push that back into there. Come on. Now, you will see now I've only got a little bit of thread. So all these, you see that's a nice pattern. That's going to be skew with, that's going to skew with, but that's quite nice, that one. That's quite neat. So I have now got a short piece of thread. So I now take another bit, and I've worked with longer threads, but you just get a bit oops, I've got a knot here, so let me just pull that. I'll keep that for emergencies if I need it, because this came from that. When this one was wrapped round, so I unraveled it, and this is what I've got. So I have a knot on the end of this. Just get rid of that. And again, I don't tend to use a lot, a long thread, because you'll find it gets caught as you pull it through, and it's a pain. The only thing you've got to make sure is that you get this double knot right. And if your hands are dry like mine, it might be a good idea to kind of just wet them a bit. Right, so I don't know why I did that. So what we do now is we tie, I do a half knot and then another half knot. Is it a granny knot? I don't know what it's called. And then another one. And as long as you try to keep the knot as far to this one as possible. So I'll just do another one. And I've done the wrong bit. Damn it all. Never mind. I picked the wrong bit up from this thread. So I've got this thread now. Imagine that's a long one. I'm not going to cut this yet. I'll cut it when I've finished. All I do now is just carry on. Probably took that through the other side and you won't see it. I can do that now, actually. You can just poke it through. But you can cut it. You can cut it quite short because there's nothing going to pull on it. But you do it when you've finished, because at the minute I will be kind of pulling on this thread for a bit. So you want to do it last. So again, you just carry on as you were, and the thread is hidden in the middle of the book. As I say, now we've got that kind of. You can start doing this with it. So under that last one, and then back in. And then you just kind of carry on. So I hope you found that a bit interesting, guys. And of course, the last one is always easier. So under the last signature, and then you're ready for your next one. Oh, hi, Kenny. Welcome to Bunny Designs. Anybody else popping in? So if you imagine that we've finished, and then when you get to the top one, so you've attached all these stitches. When you get to the top one, it's this in reverse. But you finish on the inside and you tie it off. But it's taken me about an hour to do that, so it doesn't take long. I'm almost halfway. I don't think you want me to finish it off, do you guys, really? It's a bit tedious. What I should have asked hubby to put. He's normally my hole poker. I normally ask him to do that. So again, you just push through that one. Oh, I've only got a small thread. Push through that one. That one. That one. That one. That's probably the easiest way to do it. So we go through. I was going to just pull that out. Go through that last one. Up and under. As in, my hands don't work particularly well, so I did it the slow way, which is take that through and put that back down there. So I'm just going under the last signature, the one that's next to it, and then keep to the outside so I don't catch, and then back in that one. So I think I'm going to keep this one for my kind of Hobonichi. It's either the cousin or the techie one, and it's the thin version. So if we go to the last signature, there's the needle, poke it back. So you just go back into the last one you've just done, and then gently push it through. Oops, didn't go through that. You find your own comfort positions, how you're doing things. Oh, thank you, Kenny. Thank you. So we push that. I might actually finish it. I don't know what you think, guys, because then you can see it in real time, and then you know how easy it is. You know, it's just, again, you watch TV, got to watch what you're doing with your fingers, really. But apart from that, so that's the first signature. So you're attaching it to this one. So you can do it the very easy way, so you know exactly where you are. And that creates that really nice edge. And you can keep fiddling it. There's a lot of give in this, which again is quite nice. You don't want it loosey-goosey, but you don't want it really tight because you don't want to damage your pages. I've gone a bit too far there, but I definitely will not catch my... but again, you're making something from something quite cheap and cheerful, like photocopied paper and lined paper. And the Hobonichis are, the covers are about £100. They're about 50 to 40, 50, 60 pounds, the Hobonichis. Just seem to have just got that one a bit. That's it. Sometimes you have to pull it. So again, you want it fairly tight. So if that one's loose, you pull that one, then you pull that one, and then you pull that one. Although it does help if I pull that one and then pull that one. So you want to keep it fairly tight. So I'm halfway through. I've done 5, and I've got 6 to do. So again, it doesn't take that long. I should find my pokey tool. Oh, never mind. Put it somewhere. You can get proper awls. It's like a round handle with a spike, and it's so much easier because your thumb doesn't kill you. But I'm pretty sure my pokey tool has disappeared. When everything got moved, anything sharp, I moved about. Just bear with me a second. I just might have it on that turnaround. We've got quite a dull day today, and it's quite a dull day today. No, my pokey tool didn't make it. Oh, look what I found. It's a hat pin, I think. I think it's a hat pin. But it will use as a pokey tool. And it will save your hands, because that's the idea of it, you pushing. No idea what it is, but it will work, hopefully. So make sure that everything's neat and straight, and then push. No, I'm not going to use that. It's not working, but that's what an awl looks like. I can't put my finger on the back of this because it's quite sharp, but either get somebody else to poke the holes. I'm actually pulling the paper up rather than pushing the needle down. So you find your own way of doing it. And I've left a piece of paper there, so I don't have the middle. So just make sure that everything is straight. And there is something nice about it being slightly wonky because it's homemade. It's oh, I've forgotten what the word is. It's homemade. It's not perfect. It's not hobo. I can't think of the word. Anyway, you get the drift. So we pull that one again through the middle, line it up, push that one down. Now I didn't go through the, now that's what I didn't do. No, I don't. That's what I am right. You just do that. So we line that up a bit, and then under that one through. Again, when you start to get a bit of a slant on it, you can do that. you can push it through that way, and then you don't have to do it backwards. Again, you've got to be a bit careful that you haven't gone split your thread. You mustn't split your thread because you can't tighten it then. So again, you can do the easy way, which if you just do that and poke the needle up, it comes through. The use a bigger needle. I like bigger needles, but I can't get downstairs, so my daughter brought this one up for me. So again, you just poke it back. Try and poke it to that side and poke it to that side if you were going that way, but we're going the other way, so we're poking it that way. Oh, hi Pamela, welcome to Bunny Designs. Just having a sewing lesson. I'm stitching a fake Hobonichi. Now they do the big one, and then they do a thinner one, more like a little planner. So I think that's what I'm going to make is the one to do the to-do lists, the general ones, but keep the other creative one for being creative. Oopsie. So that comes out of there and goes in there. That's the easiest way to do it. And then find the middle and push it slightly to that side. So we're going to miss the thread. And then we come out and then we go back. Now that's what I didn't do. I didn't go back. So that one's not connected, but it doesn't matter. I did that mistake before. So now I have to go back and round. I don't know why I missed it. I did it last time as well. Most annoying, but never mind. So last signature and round. And then poke the holes into this one. So I think I made a mistake on the big one, but because there's so many stitches, and now the book is held together, it's not going to move. I'd forgotten about that. And I knew when I was doing it, I thought I've missed that one. I know I have. So you do have to concentrate a little bit, but I'm not going to unpick it to put that one back. I don't need to do that. It's not going to go anywhere. We're not going to rive the book. It's going to be it's going to have a cover which is going to hold it together anyway. So it's definitely not going to matter. So I'm going to take this one now and put it through here. So I've just about got enough thread to go in there and to go round and out. So again, sometimes it's just as easy to do that. So that's what we're doing. We're trapping that stitch, which is attaching one signature to another, but all the stitches are in the inside. So now I need to go into that way again because the stitches are there here. I'd be doing that if the stitches were this way. I haven't got enough to get through, so now I'm going to attach that long one that I cut earlier. So I do a 4 knot. Now I know there's a way that you can actually hide these, but they don't bother me that much. But I'm not going to cut, definitely not going to cut them off now. I'll cut them off later. And this is why you need a big-eyed needle. So I think I changed the needle. I rethreaded about 4 times for that one. But there's 60 signatures on that one. This one we've got 11. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to make it 12. I like it. 12 is my favorite number, so there we go. So when you tighten that one, you can see it tightens that one, tightens that one. And you can see that this is the neatest one. The others are a bit skew with, but this is the neatest one. But if it's a Hobonichi and it's going in a cover, it doesn't really matter. So again, so we want to go in the last signature and round that last thread. And there's only one thread. And then this is why you don't want a long thread, because it can get knotty. And then open it up, and we want, this time we're going to put the needle in at that angle so that we're not going to split our stitch, our thread rather. It is quite therapeutic, this. When I first did all the signatures, I suddenly thought, oh my goodness, you see, it gets knotty. Just don't panic. Very carefully pull, very carefully, and you get rid of it. If you start yanking things, you end up with a bit of a knot. So you've got to be a bit careful. Now, I think this is actually fine embroidery thread. It's cotton. It's quite strong, though. You could use, you want very strong cotton. So you want a fairly strong cotton, but it doesn't have to be industrial. Sorry, I've just caught the microphone. So I don't know what the sound sounds like, guys. So thanks for stopping by. I hope everybody's having a pleasant afternoon. So this book is to keep us, first of all, we're making something that we're going to use. And again, you know, you could sit and just make lots of books and then go out sketching. Oh, I've just done that wrong. Why did I do that? Oh, no, I didn't. I did it right. And then, you see, I've remembered to loop the last one now, so that is attached. That's what I forgot to do, that last bit. I could go back and put a stitch in, but because the others are now attached, it's not going to do anything. It's not going anywhere. So I'm not going to go back and do that. So again, it's a good idea to try and keep these as neat as possible. So look, we're nearly there. So I might as well finish it off, guys. So I hadn't poked my holes. So again, I've got my fingers apart. So you can see where it's going. It's not going to get me at all. So I'm actually picking the paper up. Now, the other thing you could do is to do this at the other side if you wanted to. So now we're going to start at this side. So we want to go in here. And then out there, just been a bit skew with the lines. And again, you can see how it's coming along. So then we want to go through the last signature. And then gently tighten it up a little bit. And then we go back, this time pointing the needle that way, so we don't split our thread. Try to keep away from it if we can. My hands have a bit of problems now holding things. So. And you've just got to be a bit careful So everything needs to be tightened up and neat, which it is. And then you can go in the next one. So you do the stitch, you put it under the last signature and back, then you push it back to the center, and then you tighten up that bit, just gently, not too forceful. And then you know that it's a bit loose is that one, but when I pull on here now, that one tightened up. So, and again, this is to it's quite therapeutic. It's because it's a repetitive thing. It is actually quite therapeutic. So we're going to go back now. And if you think that they are a bit loose, you can tighten them up that way. And just double check before we go on to the next signature. But that's fine. Come out of this one. And then don't forget, oopsie, when you come out, so you come out of this one, and I then went on to the next one, but I'd forgotten. So when you come out of the last one, you go down and round, and then you go in the next one. So I've remembered this time to catch that into that last one. So it's quite neat. It's not bad. That's the neatest one. I go a bit skew whiff when I go on the end here, but the pages are level. It's going to open like a nice book and be flat wherever I open it. And that's the nicest thing. So I've only got 3 more to do. So I'll do them all. And then I'll stop this video and we'll do, when I come back, we'll do some patterns in the book. So again, try to keep these, if you want to put a clip to hold it steady. So in one, in the other one. As I say, there's just something quite nice about, and then you can let that go if it's going to drive you scatty. So into the first hole of the next signature, and gently, just loosely attach it. It doesn't want to be dead tight. And then we want to go down that one. And we want to be through that one. Sometimes you can do it, sometimes you can't. There you go. So that's under that last one. Gently tighten it up. And again, push that way this time, because the stitches are here. And then that one. Again, you'll find now it will move slightly so that you can get your stitch in. But if you can't, don't force it. You've got nice and tight. Just do that with it. And then back through the hole. And as I say, then you can tighten that one and tighten that one. Pull that way, not that way. Push that one through. If you push on the needle, it will open it up. So it's the last signature. If you can see that. It's coming through that last signature and then back in. Oops, I didn't open it up when I did it. And then a gentle pull, and then out of that one, round the last one, give it a little bit of jiggery pokery and make sure that it's all nice and tight. And then the next signature. So if you want to make sure you're keeping them in the right place. Just make sure you don't prick yourself on the other side. And because these are fixed, I can let go now until I do this. So this one, oh, wrong one. We're working the other way. There we go. So we're working on this one this time. So line it up, push that one through there. And round the last signature. Pull the needle up and you can see it's going around that last signature. Then it goes back in, and this time the needle's going that way, so I keep this loose because I need to tighten it up. Probably having it up there is the best way to do it. Gently pull it, and then you can see all the stitches going in the right place. Down that last. If you force the needle down, it forces the page up, so you can feel where you're going. So over that last stitch, and then back in, and then gently pull. And then this is the one that I forget. This isn't stuck, so you have to go around that last signature just the same. So you've attached the last one to there, and then give it a bit of a jiggle to make sure that it's neat. It's not too loose. And the last signature, yay! You get to the last one, you think, oh, thank goodness for that, and then you think, oh no, oh. So it's a bit of a strange one. I did say I was going to do 12 signatures, didn't I? So I have to make another one, so we'll just put that on there. So you can mark your holes and poke them all first. That's the easiest way. I've done it the hard way. You've just got to make sure your pages are stuck together, which thank goodness mine are. So so again, push through there, line it up, push through there. and then that signature and back. Tighten it up a bit, and then again push that way this time, away from your thread. And then through that, oops, I've made a boo-boo. Through that one. So it is actually quite therapeutic, and I say when you think you're making something from fairly cheap things, the layout paper is really nice because it keeps the book very thin, whereas the photocopy paper is a lot thicker. So the last one is through there and through the last loop. So it's trapped it. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've got 11. I'm going to have 12 signatures. But it looks really nice. Fairly, it's fairly neat, but I am going to have another signature, guys, because I've got to have 12 my favorite number, so we may as well just put another 12 in there. So I need, just put this to one side a minute. Sorry, guys, we've all got dogs, so if one goes, they all go. I'm just going to have to bear with me a second. Sorry about that. Just I've got every paper out than the one I wanted, so I think I want 3 of these, 4 of these. Three of these and 3 of these, don't I? That's right. I think it's a bit creased. It's the printer paper that's been kicking about the tray I have at the back. I have like some shelves that you put your printer paper on. So I'm just going to put a bit of a better crease on that one. Somebody's been eating that one. Got to use that one. Goodness me. Promise that's the end, guys. I'm not going to do any more. Not going to do any more. It gets a bit obsessive, this. But having made a huge one with 60 signatures, because it would be nice to actually use them. So 2 there. And another one makes 6. So I've kind of done this in a bit of a roundabout way. So you kind of want to fold and make your signatures nice, crisp. The crisper you get this one, the better. So again, remember not to lick our hands. It's gone dry as that now, so I'm going to just have to put some water to it. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So get the signature nice and neat, and then give it that last lovely crisp edge. Oh, thank you, Pamela. Thank you. Hope it's not too boring. So let's just check, see if I've got all of them the right way round. No, I haven't. So I've got that one that way around. I've got that one that way around. There we are. So now I know that that's the bottom. So we've nearly done, guys. Nearly done. So I just need to mark, and you could put that on there if you really were desperate. Oh, right, I've got that where we want it. So I've got to put a hole there, a hole there, a hole there, and then one there and one there. Just double check that looks okay. So you can, if you want, put, I don't know where the little clip's gone, put a clip on it, and then I've got quite a lot of thread on this one, so I can keep it, so that goes into there. So you can get the biggest, a darning needle would be good because it hasn't got a sharp point. So you're not likely to go through your fingers, really. But just make sure they are out of the way up the other side when you make. So we want into that one. Pull the thread out. This is why you want a good big eye of the needle, because so once you get the first one in, things are a lot easier. So pull that through and get it in the right place, and then push it out there. and then you see that pulling through, push that there, down, so it lifts that one up, down, it's the second signature, and then you can see when you're pulling it up, it's attaching that one. So then we want to push that into the middle, which I didn't do because I didn't have it open. It's always easy to open it. So I hope everybody's okay. Thanks for stopping by, guys. This is, there's something quite nice about making something that you're going to use. And as I say, if we did all these kind of boring jobs now, making these books, or if you made sketchbooks, just think when we can go out sketching again and painting in the countryside, how many books we're going to enjoy filling. Time to look back and think, God, all that stuff I got made, yay. It was a good time. You have to think of it as probably not a good time, but productive time. It was a productive time. Not sure if I'm going to have enough thread for this. I might do. Probably not, actually. So again, down that one. Oops. Then let's see. It seems to be, if you open it up, it seems to find it a lot better. So again, we'll just pull that one a bit. Pull that one again. What I try and do is pull it with the needle like that and then pull it through. And then we put that on there. I don't think I'm going to have enough. Definitely not. And remember, I didn't go down the last one, so I've got to remember always to go around that last one. So now we need that putting on there now. So I just want to line that up. Put a mark there, 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 and then if you've got a bit skew width, you still, instead of following the first where the next one is, because it won't be straight. So use the last stitch that you did as a marker. So the idea is now you come out of that, where you would go into another signature, you go here. And I'm just going to have to do this a minute. So you put it right next to it, you've got quite a good. Right. So the next thing I need to do is thread this through here. So instead of going through, we're going over the top of the back and coming in. So you come in and then you go through the last signature backwards as normal and pull. And then I've done the front wrong actually. And then you come through here and then you go back into that one. And then you have to go through the last signature. I might as well go in the same direction that I've done before. I'm going to run out of thread, so put that like that. And then go back that way there. And then I'm going to attach a little bit more thread, but I'm going to do enough so that I'm enough to do another bookmark. So I find that if you just wet your fingers a little bit, all this washing hands is making our hands really sore. So I do have some hand cream in my pencil case now. Everywhere I've got hand cream. So I want a fairly good knot on here because I'm going to attach some beads, so I don't want it to come out. So we've got, I'm sure I've done this last bit wrong, because the other way I had the stitch on the outside. Yes, that's what you do. You do that and you go around that one. And then you go back out. So I've kind of got in a bit of a pickle with this one. So you go in I'm pretty sure I've got this last bit wrong, but you go out. Then you go round. And then you go in again. So, as I say, I'm pretty sure I've kind of messed that up a little bit. Oh, it won't do that for that knot, but never mind. And then in that one, ow, through the last signature and down. And then I've done another loop for some reason. And come up and down. So if you can have your stitches on the outside or the inside. Now the big top, I've got them at the front, and at the back, I've got them on the outside. On the last signature. And then I've gone around that last one for a loop. So I think that's where I'm going to finish it. And that one's at the top. So sometimes you can just do one of those. And again, you won't see my back because it's going in a, you won't see the back. So I'm going to leave that to be loose. Take the bit of sellotape off. The last bit of string, which is at the bottom. So that wasn't much good. So I can, if I get it to the top, the only thing to do is work one way, work left to right that way, and work right to back that way. So I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet. I might make that the front. I think I might make, oh, I've got a bit of a loose bit there. But again, it's not going to bother me really, because I'm only bothered about the inside. I don't have a bead on me at the minute, so I can put a clip on there. Then you've always got a clip. There's all sorts you can put on your little beads. Big clunky beads are not a good idea because they are a pain. So there's my little book. So it's taken me, a couple of hours to make that little book, but I've got 12 signatures with I've forgotten. Oh, it's loose, is that? But again, that's not going to bother me as such because these are not loose, and I may take that off. I could tighten that up. I should have tightened that up a bit actually. I didn't tighten it up at the end, you see, so it is a bit loose, whereas the other side is really sturdy. So in that case, I'll make that the front, and I'll have to put washi tape at the top and incorporate those circles, but it's not going to bother me. It's not going to bother me because that just sits quite nicely at the moment. That's not wonky. I knew I was finishing it off wrong, but I couldn't really. There's, look, it's tightened. It's because of that silly knot. So I'll have to pull that knot out. It's because of this knot. It kind of messed everything up. But I can tighten it up. In fact, I've got that much. I can actually go back and tighten that up with that string if I wanted to. So remember to put your needle back. So I'm still using the thread that I repurposed from this book. Has anybody got any questions? So thanks for stopping by, guys. Hope everybody's okay. We're all plodding on, all keeping calm and colouring. So this now, I've got another book now. So this probably be my planner. As I say, the Hobonichi, they have an A5, they have a thin one, and then they have thinner ones to fit into the to them. I think I've got enough. So this is the doodle one, the arty one really. I'm working my way through all these and putting them into this book, and I'm also creating some, which I was doing last week, is creating some tracing original ones, so they're going to be in here as well, so I can use them. But this is kind of the doodly what's it one, for ideas and creative patterns. Not really thinking about art as such. This is creative doodling, which is making shapes and then watercoloring them. That looks like graphitint. Making a few mistakes, but not worrying about it. I think these were stitches. Just filling a page full of shapes and then colouring them in. And that's the therapy side. This is the doodly side. This is the kind of let's just have a bit of a play. Lots of doodles there. Whereas that's not normally how we work, but that's the therapy side really, really working well. And the little book of watercolors will probably go with that. I will only use the Derwent watercolor pencils, so I do have a little side. The other thing I'm going to do is I did find the original 50 what do we call it? Gosh, what do we call it? Paper chase. I found an original paper chase booklet, which I originally had in here. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to be putting these into that. I've kept some of the old ones in there. I just have to have a mouthful of cold tea, guys. Anybody got any questions? Just had a ping. Tea goes horrible when you've got soy milk in it. Or almond milk. So yeah, my first kind of play at Hobonichi didn't work very well. So I decided it was going to be my kind of patterny doodly de-stressing book. I am going to create a correct or proper or neater Hobonichi for this one. This is the one. I don't know how I finished that book off. I just can't see how I finished it off, but I did. So this has got 1,200 pages in it, and this is layout paper and the same lined paper that came out of that 199 full scap file folder paper. So that one is I'm going to turn that one into the Hobonichi. I found some extra papers. I don't know why I found those, but maybe I could use those as a practice. I might try all those in here, see what goes through, what doesn't. So that's actually probably a good idea. I think in the original Hobonichi, they do give you a few pages at the back to play with certain markers and certain pens and certain watercolors so that you can see what goes through and what doesn't. I do have a fair amount of idea what does and what doesn't. I do like this little book. I'm not sure if I'm going to stick it there. It's got photocopy paper in it, so I'm not sure how I'm going to use it. But it was fun to make. So I've got 12 signatures. There's 6 pages in each. So I've forgotten now how many pages I've got. Have I got 24 in each signature? 1, 2, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Yeah, I've got 24 in each signature. So 24 times 12. I haven't got a clue. I don't know what 24 times 12 is. Oh, I'm so stupid. Let's have a look. 288 pages. So I might actually label them, put a number at the bottom corner. So I've got 288 pages, which will take a little bit of Derwent watercolor pencil, very pale watercolors. If you've got strong watercolors, water them down, and then you want a barely damp brush, because really strong colors will go through. But you can use pencils, colored pencils, anything you like in here. That would be fine. So now I've made it, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. I shall have to look. This is definitely for practicing what's on there. Wish the dogs had shut up. So I've still got enough here to make another book or so. There's still enough here to make another book. Or practice the Hobonichi style. So you can have play with stencils, or you can do I think I like this one because this is the day one, and again, the reason I've done this book is I want to take a long time in a book. Normally when I'm writing a to-do list, I kind of just if I'm doing a to-do list, I kind of just scribble. I scribble a to-do list. I scribble things that I need to remember. That's not what the Hobonichi is. It's a little bit fancier, shall we say, for so I've been trying to plan what works for me. I did do my own alphabet, but then I thought that's handwritten, and I like the crispness of stencils. It's neater because I am a bit of a scruffy, untidy person. So then I started with this. This is my writing, scruffy. This is using one of these small I think it was this one. Using one of these small do we think it's that one? Yeah, I think it's that one. So it's a bit fiddly, and again, it takes a lot of time, but of course that's what we've got. The idea is we are making something because they say the Hobonichis are quite expensive, so you could make it just with photocopy paper. Now, the only thing about these small stencils is you need a rotring pen. But we have stamps. We have the little stamp like this, which has dates on it. So we've got all sorts of things we can do to be neater. And some people will be very neat, but I'm just not like that. And this is going to take me quite a while to do this. I will be doing the pages ready for colouring. Oh, I got an 8 together. They've put why they haven't made it. Oh, I know why. Because of course it's so fine it would break. Yeah, I got that. So the idea is that I'm going to wade my way through this book, creating monthly and weekly pages, and then I can kind of start with something that's already stenciled out and start to color it. But it's the time it's taking. It is painstaking. It's taken time to make the book, and it's going to take me time to plan my pages. But that's what we've got. We have got time, and that's the idea of it. I've been finding lots of things that I could use as templates. I've found prayer cards. I found prayer cards. I found post-it notes. I've got this slightly bigger stencil, which I think works really well. I like this one, but I think I've got a problem with it now because these are my children's ones that they finished with, and obviously I've repurposed them. These were in that set that I got yesterday, that I opened yesterday. So I've got credit cards, or store cards. I've got prayer cards, and these are all going to be nice sizes to make. So I was going to buy a stencil with squares and oblongs, and I thought, well, yeah, I got one. Why would I really want to do that? If I'm very careful, I do that. I mean, if I come across one a bit later, that's fine. I've got these as well. There's a bit of ribbon there that I might use as a bookmark. I think that would make a really pretty bookmark. I think I'm going to use that as a bookmark. So I'm using what I've got. I've got some post-it notes here, some stencils. I don't know what that is at the back. Oh, I found my Bible journaling things, and I've never used them. So I think I'm going to get them out. So this is I've got quite a few of these. I bought 2 for my girls and they've given me them back. So I've got the pencils that and the pen that doesn't go through the Bible journaling paper. So metal clips, I don't know where they are either. Again, I can use that. That's another little clip. I've got some of these little sticks. I don't think I'm going to put some lettering. So there's all sorts of things that I could use. Colouring months. It's quite good. I can put those and make them on the Hobonichi. Bob, I've got a butterfly one, but I can't find it. So this is a swan with a little, and again, that's something I'm going to get all things out because I want them. Just going to find sticky tape and journaling little hearts, but I'll get them out. I've got a bit of plastic there that I might use, and this is these are stickers. Brave, hope, and grace. Brave hope. Stickers. So I think those in my Hobonichi as well. I do these pens that came to 6, 8, 9. I think one. Oh no, that's a pencil. I don't know why I put that in there for, but I've got 2, 4, 6. I've got 8 colours here. I might use those because they're quite soft. So I'll have to think about that. But if I get them out and leave them out, I've got more chance of using them than I have if I leave them in here. Oh, this is my washi tape. So I've made my washi tape. So when I pull that off, it's flowers, which I can colour. You need it on a white background. You can see. So I've forgotten I'd made that again. Forgotten things. So I need things out, otherwise I forget them. So these are quite handy little book pockets of these. And again, I think when I'm going downstairs again, I will take some of these things and put them in here. And this will be my kind of little travel bag. This is the one that goes on the Bible. I have a pen loop, so I'm not quite sure where I'm going to put some highlighters, but I think I'll keep that for my. So I'll stop the video and I'll start again. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you all have a pleasant afternoon, and I will be back to play my Hobonichi. Thanks for watching.